Hey y'all, it's CherokeeStarfish, and happy Pride Month! I'm glad you are here. Welcome or welcome back to Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura. We are just about to the end of the game. The good doctor here has done most of the good that I think she can do. But more importantly, there's not a lot of quest left. That is, yeah, Iron Clan. That'll be happening soon. There we go, find Nazardan. So that's what happened last time. We spoke with the Silver Lady again, and she said, bro, you gotta find Nazardan. It's like, but we're Nazardan. It's like, it's just what the visions tell me. I don't know. Now, having done that, having been through all of that, we're in Shrouded Hills because we were doing some shopping and inventory management last time. It is time to head back to Tarant. We've got a big quest coming up because also last time we maxed out our persuasion skill, but we don't have master training, and that's going to be very important for the end of the game. I'm going to show y'all that every encounter does not have to be an incident, TM. I promise. Especially considering that Arcanum is one of the few games of this type where, like, you can do a completely pacifist run. It is possible. Oh, good. We got there first thing in the morning. Excellent. I love how the train or a ship ride costs, like it scales based on how many people are in your party, which for us is a lot. But the subway always just costs $5. I appreciate that. He should be in his office. Yes. Now, you may recall from a while ago in an earlier visit to Tarant, we met this fellow coming out of his house along with Paraman Smythe from Tula, right? So, this is Mr. Willisby. He is the mayor of Tarant. And he did tell us to come and see him later on at his office. Well, now is the time. Madam, I am happy to make your acquaintance. Hello, Mr. Willisby. Have you time to talk? Why, yes. I do so enjoy conversations with my constituents. Lifeblood of the city and all that. Do you know anything of the politics here in Tarant, young lady? No, she lied. Might we speak of them? Tarant is ruled by the Tarantian Industrial Council, of which I am the chairman. We are a group of businessmen and politicians who make laws based upon what we feel is best for both the commercial and cultural future of our fair city. Has Tarant always been ruled as such, or was there once a king? No, the monarchy, well, how should one phrase it, became outdated about 50 years ago. We don't speak of it much in Tarant. Yeah, that seems to make him uncomfortable. Suffice it to say that the city has prospered under our new system of government. Do you know of the Unified Kingdom, friend? Actually, we have, but for the sake of this conversation. No? What is the Unified Kingdom? She said. You know, like a liar. The Unified Kingdom is an alliance of two major kingdoms, those of Tarant and Ashbury. We share trade resources and military strength, and there are many cities that are currently looking into joining the Unified Kingdom. Negotiations with prospective members are a part of my job. I see. Well, what does your job entail, Mr. Willisby? Oh, I have many responsibilities, being chairman of the Industrial Council, as well as the owner of my own considerable enterprises. As of late, I've been monitoring the negotiations with Caledon. Caledon, you see, is considering becoming a member of the Unified Kingdom.
Really? Have they agreed to do so already?
No, we've hit a barrier in the negotiations, and we're not quite sure what to do. We're in desperate need of a skilled diplomat to approach the king's advisors with our newest proposals, and to make sure that their decision is to recommend Caledon to join us. We're having trouble finding a person with the skills to successfully do so.
Ah, perhaps someone who is very persuasive. I might be the individual you're looking for.
You know, I thought I recognized you. Word has floated down from Ashbury about your speech concerning the building of that monument. Oh, that was so long ago, remember that? That was our first big speech, persuasion challenge. So yeah, in order to do this, you have to have not failed that quest. You must succeed in some fashion. Of course, there's multiple degrees of success. I think it's a relatively forgiving quest overall, but you do have to succeed at the Ashbury Monument Building quest. If you don't, this quest is not open to you later. So you can actually, very early in the game, potentially lock yourself out of Master Persuasion training without realizing that you've done so, especially if it's your first try. Oh, successful, yes? I thought so. You might just be the woman we're looking for. I can't emphasize enough the sensitivity of these negotiations. The individual we choose must be well versed in all of the issues involved.
I'm confident that I'll be up to the task. What needs to be done?
I see. Well, perhaps I will send you if you're acceptable of my terms. You will be paid a sum equal to your performance, if, in fact, you are successful in convincing the king's advisors to agree to membership in the Unified Kingdom. If I find your performance acceptable, I will also train you to be a master in the persuasive arts, even though that makes no sense whatsoever, because we're looking for a master of the persuasive arts right now to help us. Why would I deny you that training until after? Why would I not require you to have that training now, before I sent you on this quest?
And how will my performance be rated, sir?
Well, in any negotiation there is compromise. You will be given a dossier which outlines the articles of membership in the Unified Kingdom. The less you have to compromise on those articles, the more money you will be paid. Are we clear?
Done.
I'm glad you've agreed to do so. Travel to Caledon. When you've arrived there, you will meet a man outside of the royal castle by the name of Renard. He will counsel you just before the negotiations.
And was there anything else?
Here's the dossier I mentioned. Read it carefully. You will need to know it intimately before the meeting with the king's advisors. Renard will tell you where to meet me once the negotiations are done. And remember, these negotiations are very sensitive. Speak to no one about them. Understood?
Absolutely.
Oh. Excuse me there, madam. I couldn't help but notice that you came out of the offices of Mr. Edward Willisby, the chairman of the Industrial Council. Must have been quite an important piece of business.
And who are you to be asking?
Me? Oh, just a concerned citizen. I know that Mr. Willisby is involved in much of what goes on in our fair city, so I make it my business to know what he's up to, and who he's talking to.
You didn't answer my question. Who are you?
As I said, I'm one of a group of concerned individuals working towards a common goal. Mr. Willisby's a powerful man, and his influences are far-reaching. Men such as he, you just never know what they're getting into. And of course that's true. If you have been following along with this series, then you know about the whole, half-ogre breeding program that the gnomes used back when they were trying to first found the Industrial Council and stuff like that. So that is a persuasive argument, perhaps, or at least a good point.
exactly are you insinuating, sir?
No. This guy's unsavory, right? The doctor doesn't have time. She's had enough of people trying to kill her. We just got the Malokian hand off of our necks, so...
I won't ask again. Who are you?
No reason to get hostile, my friend. We're just two people having a conversation. Just like the conversation you had with Mr. Willisby. Although I'm sure not as interesting. Men such as he just never know what they're getting into or what they're talking about.
What exactly are you insinuating, sir?
Nothing. It's only that a person might be talking to Mr. Willisby, and then Mr. Willisby might tell you something, and the next thing you know, you're involved in something you don't completely understand. You know what I'm talking about, madam? Two very interesting conversation options here, two choices. Perhaps you mean the negotiations with Caledon. This is like a whole thing. It's possible that you might think coming into this, depending on what else you have done with the plot, that you might think this is something to do with, like, overthrowing the Industrial Council. That kind of thing, because there's been, like, a struggle for workers' rights and blah, blah, blah. No. Actually, this guy wants you to assassinate the King of Caledon. So... it's kind of a big divergent path here. But that's okay. Because we're not going to do that. So you'll know that is an option, but we're not going to kill anybody today. That's the whole point of this little section, this little jaunt.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Awfully protective of Mr. Willisby, aren't you? Perhaps you two are sharing some sort of secret? Something you don't want the rest of the masses to know about? Sounds that way to me.
I'm sorry, who did you say you were?
My name is Heinrich Jenks. I represent a concerned group of citizens both here in Tarant and abroad. We've made it our business to keep a close look on the political power structure in the Unified Kingdom and make sure that it's working toward a mutually beneficial end.
Can I assume that you believe Mr. Willisby is not doing so?
You might say that, friend. I know that he's currently involved in negotiations with Caledon and that he is very interested in making sure they become members of the Unified Kingdom. I believe this interest supersedes any other concerns he might have, including the interests of his own constituents. I find this troubling.
Are you saying that Caledon's membership is a bad idea?
Let's look at the facts, madam. Tarant, with the Unified Kingdom, is the most powerful kingdom in all of Arcanum. We have natural resources, shipping, and railroads, as well as the most stable manufacturing framework of any city in the world. Much of our great wealth comes at the expense of cities like Caledon in the form of taxes and tariffs.
So, what are you saying?
So Mr. Willisby and his cohorts on the council are in effect taking away a great source of Tarant's wealth and power by allowing a kingdom like Caledon to join the Unified Kingdom. Caledon is dependent on us for resources like lumber and technology. If they're allowed to join the Unified Kingdom, then we lose that advantage.
But wait, we also gain a military ally. We spend less on defense.
Yes, but so do they. You see, Caledon loses nothing by joining the Unified Kingdom, and they gain more time to solidify their place in the new age. Tarant embraced the ways of technology early, and so we have reaped the benefits. If Caledon is given the same chance, it only follows that eventually they too will become powerful.
But if they are our allies, we will have nothing to worry about.
Are you really such a believer in human nature, friend? Do you think that a powerful, ambitious kingdom like Caledon would accept the authority of the Unified Kingdom for very long? In only a few years, their power will rival Tarant's, and then there will be war.
Hold on there. Why wouldn't Willisby see this?
Don't get me wrong, friend. It's men like Willisby who made Tarant what it is today. Men with vision and the backbone to do whatever it takes to see that vision to its end. Tarant was not always so powerful, and to make it so had a great price. And of course, we know the price.
If Willoughby did this, then why question his actions now?
Power can do strange things to men, my friend. What created Tarant was patriotism, but I'm afraid that greed is now the fuel behind her fire. Willoughby stands to make quite a bit of money if Caledon joins the unified kingdom. Remember, he's a businessman first, a politician afterwards.
This price?
Yes, not my story to tell.
Ahem. And what does Willoughby stand to gain from the negotiations?
Manufacturing concessions, tax advantages. Caledon would do just about anything for a businessman who holds the power to push this agreement through, don't you think?
Perhaps. And what are you suggesting be done, Mr. Jenks?
You see, two people, strangers really, can have a logical, rational conversation, and next thing you know, things are being done. Good things, mind you, necessary things. Things that made this city great.
I've agreed to nothing, Jenks.
Have I said that you have? I was just making an observation, madam. It's strange how great things sprout from such insignificant encounters, don't you think?
I believe I've heard enough, sir. Good day to you.
Perhaps later you'll return and we can continue this discussion. No. We already talked about that. Yes, he's anti-union. Of course, you can imagine. He's a business bigwig. Okay, so we didn't... he has to actually tell us what he wants, which means that we have to continue the conversation and, like, semi-agree to it. But he mentions wanting us to assassinate the King of Caledon. If that comes up in the conversation, you can actually tell Willoughby about it, and he'll just have his half-ogre go in the other room and kill Jenks. Which is honestly probably for the best, even though Willoughby is absolutely like an awful piece of shit. Let's read this book on the way to Caledon. So, there are 10 important points you need to take into consideration when speaking with the king's advisors. The first issue is the construction of a railroad in Caledon. Of course, the Industrial Council would like to control all aspects of the railroads, but we understand the position of the advisors to share ownership of both the railroad and the train station. Offer this and see what they say. Under no circumstances are you to give them control over both. The second issue involves the use of magic within Caledon. As you know, Tarant is a very forward-thinking and technological city. Wherever possible, we've controlled magic and where it is practiced. Although Caledon is a modern city, there are members of the council who still hold on to an antiquated belief in the old ways. Although they don't want magic users to have special privileges, they do want people to continue to have the freedom to practice magic. A moderate stance on this issue is recommended. One of the more delicate issues in the negotiations will be the status of the Bates Steam Engine Company. The advisors understand the importance of technology and are very excited about the possibility of the Bates Company opening a factory there, but they are also concerned about the domination by Bates of their own companies, and so are leery about giving Bates trade privileges. You should recommend that Bates be given limited trade concessions within Caledon, but not unlimited freedoms. On the other hand, they don't want anything in the agreement that would deter the Bates Company from developing in Caledon, so be very careful about what the terms of this agreement are. The status of the Caledonian military is a very important issue, both to us and to them. We, of course, would like a full dismantling of their military, but it would take a skilled negotiator to convince them of that. According to intelligence, the advisors would prefer that half of their military is sent to the Unified Battalions, which is in line with standard Unified Kingdom membership practices. The advisors will be happy about this because they spend less on defense, but don't fully leave themselves vulnerable. They do not want to keep a full standing army and navy. Be careful when speaking of these issues. The success of the negotiations might hinge on it. The Unified Kingdom membership tax is usually a closed issue, but considering the strength and size of Caledon, we may want to bend the rules for them. Tarant, of course, would enjoy seeing Caledon pay an even heftier tax than anyone, but I think that moderation here will win the day. We've been told that Caledon would enjoy a reprieve from the tax for 5 years and then a reduced rate afterwards, but this may be giving too much. Use your best judgment. If you need this issue to tip the scales in your favor, then do so. The issue of the discontinued use of Caledonian currency is pretty well worked out. Everyone will be happy if you propose that Caledon use her currency for another 5 years and then switch to the unified gold standard. If you feel things are going well, then maybe push for a lesser timetable, perhaps 2 or 3 years, or even an immediate switch if you feel they are responding to you. Do not allow them continued use after 5 years. Anything beyond this would be a serious blow to the economic stability of the Unified Kingdom. It's imperative that we standardize new members as soon as possible. The shipping routes that Caledon currently controls are of great importance to the Unified Kingdom. They are a great source of Caledon's trading power, and they generate a lot of wealth through the use of tolls on foreign ships. The advisors are going to want to hold on to those tolls as long as possible, and we, of course, are going to want them removed as soon as possible. Offer them 5 to 10 years to continue collecting them, even from Unified Kingdom members. Do not allow them to stay in place beyond that. It compromises the morale between other UK members, as well as costing them unnecessary fees. Labor unions are a sensitive issue. You probably know of the problems we have in Tarant, and we're very interested in avoiding those same issues in a place like Caledon. But there are those among the advisors who believe that the unions represent a positive step for workers' rights, so tread carefully. I think they would be happy if labor unions were legal, but had limited operating rights in the city walls. Only a truly skilled mediator would be able to convince them otherwise. The issue of the number of votes Caledon will have in the Unified Parliament should be academic. You should not, unless absolutely necessary, offer them anything but the standard initial 2 votes, followed by an increase to 3 votes after 5 years of membership. If there was a way to limit them to 2 votes indefinitely, we would be very happy, but you'd have to be very convincing to do so. The final issue concerns the Caledonian farmers. As you might know, Tarant is very dependent on them for grain, and they have prospered greatly because of heavy export taxes. Caledon will want to keep this so as long as possible. You'll have to decide what is best when dealing with this issue. The sooner the tax is lifted, the better for Tarant. Use this final issue as a bargaining chip if necessary. Good luck. I'll see you in Caledon. Edward Willisby, Esquire. So, yeah, that's a lot. Absolutely, yes, indeed. Crush the bourgeoisie. So, this is a lot. But this is also basically instructions for, like, what conversation options to pick during the negotiations. So there's quite a bit going on here, and what you choose can have a heavy effect on the ending of the whole game, that is. So, you know, depending on how you perform in these negotiations, it can really lead to, like, a terrible long-term ending. But if you do really well, then we've got, like, you know, a bright future in front of us, depending on what you bring to the table and what you take off of it. Because notice that he says several of these things are like, you know, we want limited concessions, but if you have to do this, or they would probably be happy with this, but this is what we want, and so on. Use this as a bargaining chip if you must. So that means that you have to kind of pick and choose, and you're scored based on, I think, how advantageous the negotiations are to Tarant in terms of what you are paid. Now, in terms of the actual end of the game, this is not the exact instruction set. You'll see when we get there. And that is where we are going now. We're going to head over there and take a ship. Okay. Let's go to Tarantian docks. Come on. Sir. There we go. I would like to go to Caledon. Passage for 10. 1,000 coins. Sure. God. I could put all my spiders away, but it would still be expensive, so it's kind of like, what's the point? Oh. Got anything good since I'm walking past? I think actually I need a kite shield. Electro armor. I don't think we have that. Dwarven plate mail. Dwarven chainmail. Actually, you know what? That is definitely better armor overall than the chainmail, but I'm worried that if we give that to Magnus, he will not be able to, like, basically to move at all. Let's see. However, let's see. It's 3 to 14 and 2 to 10. That is faster, though. Okay, we need one of these anyway. Yeah, like unionized versus unionized. We've learned a new schematic. Cool.
How can I help you?
Okay. So he's got the quality iron shield. Oh, dang it. I already picked one of those up. Shit. Oh, well. That's fine. I'll just eat it. Here. Loghaire is better at this kind of stuff than Magnus anyway. So, we need to get him a weapon, though. And so I think he needs to have Harrow back. That's his axe, so there we go. Nice. And you need something other than a railroad spike. Yeah. Okay, I think that'll do. Let's go ahead and War Gauntlets. That'll do. Good enough.
What is it you need?
Shall we trade? Take this and this. And Magnus, you take that. There we go. Ah, minimum strength required 20. Of course. I hate that it doesn't tell you that. Gosh. Okay, well.
How can I help you?
Wish we still had that featherweight axe, but I sold that a long time ago because we got Harrow. The more fool me. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Almost walked right past Renard here. Greetings, madam. I am Renard. I've been expecting you. You're sent from Mr. Willisby, no?
Yes, Renard. I'm here for the negotiations.
Yes, of course you are. You're not from Caledon? No. I hate this place. Pit of vipers. Tuh. I'm a politician. I know that sometimes the game is hard, but these Caledonians... I've never seen so much backbiting and bootlicking in all my days.
Interesting. Do you have any advice?
I forgot he said that. Yes. Hold on to your wallet. So much money passes from hand to hand here. I've received bribes from beggars here. Bless me, I have. He makes a sign across his breast, bowing his forehead. I pray to the gods that I survive this wicked place. Ah.
Let's get to the point, Renard.
My apologies, madam. I've just never had a more terrible time. No matter. We will proceed through these doors, straight ahead through, and to the large doors at the end of the inner courtyard. The guards there will be instructed to let you pass once we have finished our conversation here.
And then?
Once through those doors, you will walk through the arch directly to the end of that long hallway. There would be the throne room and the council. You will proceed to the podium, and the advisors will begin asking you questions. Once you finish the negotiations, you will obtain the signed agreement from them and leave the premises immediately. Mr. Willisby will meet you right here with me once the negotiations are done. You will be paid then.
Sounds clear enough.
Some personal advice. You will no doubt be approached by not a few persons on your way to the advisors' chambers. These individuals will represent various interests here in Caledon and will attempt to sway your position on any number of the points detailed in the dossier you've received.
So?
So? Do not speak with them, take no money from them, and for the love of the gods, do not change your position on any of the points. The very economic future of Arcanum hinges on the acceptance of Caledon into the unified kingdom. Do you understand?
Yes. Good day to you, Renard.
Good. I will send word to the guards to expect you. Good luck in the negotiations. Okay, and you can see, look at, they're just lined up. Those folks were definitely, like, not here last time that we came in. So, these are, like, a bunch of the, you can talk to all of these people, and they're going to have different stuff to say about all of those points in the dossier, like Renard explained. But we don't actually have to, like, talk to them to get any information that we need to have to be successful in the negotiations. The way that this works is basically they will offer you a bunch of money, like they'll try to bribe you, in exchange for including specific requests in the agreement. So, it's like if you're hard up for money or you just want to cause chaos. Hello? There. Oh, I have to talk to the other one.
Here to speak with the advisors, guard.
Of course, Miss Ambassador. Go right in. The ambassadors are the advisors are expecting you. All right, here we go. See how this goes. And I don't think we will need this, but do we have a... We don't. Okay. We have so many of these. Where do I? I didn't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. The grenades are also an option. Glug, 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 glug. Okay, here we go. Dear Madam, we are grateful for your time today and would very much appreciate a few moments of your time to clarify the remaining points in the Articles of Membership. Once you've answered our questions, we will vote as to what our position will be concerning Caledon's membership in the Unified Kingdom. Might we begin?
Please.
Please specify what Tarant's position will be on the issue of the construction of a railroad here in Caledon. So, benefits us all if Tarant controls all aspects. Shared ownership. Tarant owns the railroads, but Caledon owns the station. No railroads whatsoever. Now remember, of course, in the dossier, they said to offer them shared control. And they could control the train stations or the railroads, but not both. Well, obviously, the railroads determine where the train stations go. So it should follow then that owning control of the railroads themselves is more advantageous to Caledon. So,
shared ownership of the railroads and stations in Caledon.
on the subject of magic and its uses within the city walls. Okay, now, of course, they said, Tarant wants to get rid of magic. But Caledon allows it. So forget the New Age, or the old ways. Use of magic must be regulated, no use within the city walls, or magic is a capital offense. Gasp. So, if you are a magical character here, you actually have an additional option during these negotiations where you can argue for special privileges for magic users, which is kind of neat. But of course, we're playing a technological character, so
the use of magic must be regulated as well as where it happens.
And one of the technological trade issues, more specifically the economic and social status of Mr. Gilbert Bates.
And Bates will enjoy limited trade concessions within Caledon.
And the military? What will happen to our army and navy?
Half of the army and navy will serve in the unified battalions.
And what of the so-called membership tax that is placed on all new entrants into the unified kingdom? Well, we'll say no tax for 5 years, followed by a reduced rate, right? Or the heavier the tax, the more Caledon reaps the benefits. Caledon pays double tax. So it just depends on exactly what you want to happen here. You can really throw a wrench in the discussion here, of course. So these special requests that you get from them only show up here if you have talked to them and taken their quest, which we did not do. So, of course. So, like I said before, I'm not sure how this is scored exactly. But, the closer you can get to the dossier, the better. So, let's see. Heavy taxing for double tax. The heavier the tax, the more Caledon reaps the benefits. Say no tax for 5 years, followed by a reduced rate. And what of the requirement that all Unified Kingdom members must discontinue use of their own currencies and change to the Unified Gold Standard?
A Caledon may use her own currency for 3 more years.
And what of shipping routes? Who will receive privileges and concessions? Right. Privileges will be given to Tarantian ships above all. Be taxed heavily for use of its own routes. So imperialist. Free use of the shipping routes builds a stronger economy for all. And Caledon will collect a toll from UK members for 10 years. Now, of course, that is what they said, we could offer, but if possible, we want a better deal than that, right? So we'll say free use of the shipping routes. What of labor unions? What laws might be enacted concerning them? Now, so this is one. Caledon is better protected if labor unions are outlawed. They'll have limited rights, or they'll have full privileges in Caledon. I'm going to be completely honest. This is one where I don't know what the other answers do. Boop. On the number of votes Caledon will have in the Unified Parliament, where do you stand on that issue? Yes, Caledon starts with 2 votes, then 3 after 5 years. That's the standard. It is well known that Tarant is dependent upon Caledon for grain. They make a lot of their money through taxes on exported produce. What concessions will be made to our farmers who enjoy a demanding market? They share everything for prosperity. Or we have here new property taxes levied upon the Caledonian farmers. Now, the tariff, of course, could stand 5 years or 3 years, just like with the other tax. We're going to go for 3 years because our charisma is really high. and that will help getting a good deal on a couple of those where we pushed for more than Tarant wanted, or was willing to accept, will cover our asses for choosing to let people unionize. Thank you for your candor in this matter, madam. Give us a moment to discuss what we've heard today and to make a decision concerning what our recommendation will be.
Of course.
Slight murmuring. More murmuring. Few of them seem quite animated. Coming to a close, a nodding of heads, an agreement seems to have been reached by them all, and the chairman turns back. After some deliberation, madam, we have decided to accept the terms outlined here today and to recommend membership in the Unified Kingdom based on them. We will make the king aware of our decision. He will be leaving immediately for Tarant. Thank you once again for your time. We shall speak with His Majesty about this as soon as possible. Please, take a signed copy of the agreement. He hands it to us. Good day.
Thank you, and good day.
So here we go. Terms of agreement. Oh, well, we can't actually read that one. That kind of makes sense. Hello. I would like to leave, please. I'm departing. Let me out. Why is the door locked? Why are we locked in? Oh no. Well, are we gonna have to pick the lock? Yeah, we might have to just wait. That could be... I wonder if that's what it is. Oh, it won't let us because we're in the castle. Oh, so we can't. Well... Huh... Might have to. Let me try this again. Let me... Wait a minute, where was I? Let me load the previous save here. Because it may just be bugged. So you have to talk to this guy to get in, of course. Date you. Right. Potion of Persuasion, just in case. Hello, please. Shared ownership. Magic must be regulated. And actually, I think some of these too are like if you have a higher charisma score, you can get more or fewer points. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure how they're scored. Let me see. Some of these at the top, usually what happens is if you have really high charisma, like it pushes these to the top. Because we know that those are things that the Willisby said, if you can get them, Tarant would really love it. So let's see. Full dismantling of your troops, the heavier the tax, immediate change, free use. Labor unions have full privileges. Caledon starts with 2 votes. You must share everything for prosperity. After some deliberation, we have decided to accept the terms. We'll make the king aware of it. Okay, good. There. Okay, it was just bugged for some reason. I don't know why. That was weird. But it's okay. And here's Willisby. Hello there, young lady. Well done, well done. I've heard that you secured an agreement with the council. Let me have a look.
Of course. Here it is.
Interesting. I must say, you've done quite well here. Not perfect, but when do you ever get everything you want? He laughs, patting you on the shoulder. I'm most impressed with your work here, madam. I'm going to pay you 7,000 gold pieces for your skilled negotiation.
And you'll train me to be a master in persuasion as well, sir?
Yes, of course. And now the important thing in any negotiation is that you should know all of these tips before you go to do a major international negotiation. As a plenipotentiary ambassador whispers in your ear for a few minutes, and there you have it, all the secrets of the persuasive arts.
Thank you, sir.
Say no more, say no more. You've rendered Tarant and all of the unified kingdom a great service. You'll be remembered for many years, madam.
Good day to you, Mr. Willisby.
So, there we go. We got a bunch of XP as well. Okay. There we go. We have convinced Caledon to join the Unified Kingdom. I think that gives us a reputation as well. Oh, I forgot about that. Liberator of Mog Malman, because you killed Taval Nor and broke the spell, was enslaving the half-ogres of Senang. You have earned their friendship and the enmity of Senang. Friend of the Malokian Hand. Destroyer of the Dread Crystal Spider. For killing it, you become a hero in the eyes of the people of the Wheel Clan. Persuasion Master of Arcanum. Your reputation for oratory and negotiation is legendary. Legendary! There we go. We're going to need that where we're going. So, I think if you do well enough, you get... I mean, obviously you get more gold. But I think you get a reputation. I think. Because I expected to get one. But I don't know. Like I said, other than... Because I even picked different stuff. So we got a good performance at rating, at least, because he gave us that much. But I'm not sure exactly how it is scored. And the only thing that I know of for sure that would get us more points, like absolutely for sure, of course, is they wanted the labor unions taken care of. But it's like, no. But it's okay, because I think there's really only like 3 levels of achievement. Like either you fail altogether, right? Which is not an achievement. You can have kind of like a crummy performance. You can have the one that we got here, which is the middling high, like, you know, he's impressed. And then if you get Tarant, like absolutely everything that they want and do really well or something like that, you know, probably there's a higher one. And I think that's the one maybe that gives you the reputation. But you don't need to do that in order to actually get the best ending for the game. So we are good. We are 7,000 gold pieces richer, and we are good to go. Okay, so having done that, let's go to the end of our notes here. Yeah, exactly. You can, and also it flexes back and forth between, you know, like, is it fairly even? Are you giving advantages to Tarant? Are you giving advantages to Caledon? Because, you know, you saw some of the options there. So it changes the ending a little bit, I think, whether you give more power to Caledon or Tarant. But you definitely don't necessarily want to give them absolutely everything. Like, the labor union thing is, like, if you outlaw labor unions, you will get a bad ending. Because that's bad. Okay, now we did this. Okay, oh, right. We are where we need to be. I was about to say, like, where do we have to go next? But we know where we have to go next. We're already in Caledon, so we're going to pay a visit to the herb shop because we're walking past it. In through the window. Sure, that's normal. That's normal. Some snake oil. Oh, man. Oh, what does it take to make the corrosive acid? I can never remember off the top of my head. It's the... Okay, it is the sulfur pills. I was thinking that it was, but... There. Okay, yeah, because we've got one that's not... There we go. It's not made. Back out through the window. Totally normal behavior. Oh, and I think I mentioned before, too, this guy's actually secretly... Okay, he's secretly a member of the Malokian Hand, and depending on what you say to him the first time you meet him, he will attack you, and you can find a medallion on him. So I was wondering if he would say anything different because we are now friends with the Malokian Hand. I can't recall. Okay, and look, now you can see that there are other people here. Like, this is no longer, like, the Acolyte. Someone different. Oh, it's you. You've finally come, the blimp crash survivor. I saw your picture in the Tarantian. I'm Alexander, first Acolyte of the Temple. It's a great pleasure to meet you.
What? What are you talking about?
Do you have any idea what that means? It's you. You're the living one. It's a miracle.
Let's not blow this out of proportion.
Out of proportion? This is an astronomical event. The return of Nasreddin, the final battle, the end of all we know, and a new beginning. The most amazing...
Fine! I'm the living one. Do as I say, and shut up.
Of course, of course. Forgive my excitement, Exalted One. We've waited for you for a long time.
Let's keep this between us.
Of course. But you must listen to me. We were warned by the High Priest to expect your arrival, and he told us to scorn you as an impostor. For some reason, he refuses to believe.
I can understand his position. The whole thing is a bit odd.
There are times when all of us find it difficult to follow the path chosen for us. In the end, does it really matter if you were or you weren't? You seem intent on discovering what has happened, and already you and Aranax have crossed paths. If you thwart his plan, you will have played the role of the living one. Is there any difference in the end? Now that's an interesting position, especially since this is literally their religion, and we are effectively their messiah. So, like, this is a wild interpretation of that I really enjoy, where he's like, okay, so maybe you aren't the living one. So what? If you defeat Aranax, did it ever really matter whether you were or not? Because you did what they were supposed to do. So who cares?
I suppose not. I just wish people would stop trying to kill me.
I'm not worried. You've come this far. Regardless of what you think, I feel that fate has chosen a worthy champion. Now, how can I be of further service?
Yes, what can I expect from people around here?
You should be very careful about who you reveal yourself to. If you speak with Hadrian, the archaeologist, you may not want to tell him. He's a great man of faith, but he is old. Belief in you will come slowly. Gunther Wilhelm is a brilliant man and open to new ideas. I believe he will accept you immediately.
Thank you. I will remember that. A few more questions?
Of course, Honored One. I live to serve.
What can you tell me of the Panarii Church? What do they believe in?
The Panarii and their beliefs are centered around the life and teachings of Nasreddin. Throughout his life, and in the years since his passing, there's been much written about him by those who knew him, as well as learned men who have studied his life.
And what can you tell me about Nasreddin?
What would you like to know about him?
Who was he?
Nasreddin was a very powerful and wise elf who lived during the Age of Legends. As the leader of the Elven Council, Nasreddin was both the physical and spiritual leader of all the lands of Arcanum. For 1,000 years he ruled over the council, and the land prospered, and all was well.
What happened?
The coming of Aranax heralded the end of an age for Arcanum. from the disbanding of the Elven Council to the death of our beloved Nazridan.
And who was this Aranax fellow?
Aranax was an elf on the original Elven Council during the Age of Legends. According to the histories, Aranax was a very evil elf. He had personal interests in gaining control of the council and using it for his own dark ends. Aranax thought that not only should elves rule, but that they should subjugate the other races. Nazridan came to our defense.
Nasty rude one. Rude one.
Can we get a meme? Can we get some fan art of like Lil Nazridan X or something?
Where is he now?
Aranax was banished by Nazridan and the council after a large battle near the Ring of Brodgar. Aranax had waged war against the council. It is speculated that he tried to wrest control of the council from Nazridan for his own purposes. Nazridan died from wounds he received in that battle.
Now you say he was banished. What does that mean?
When someone is banished, they are sent to what is known as the Void.
And the Void? What is it?
Well, my friend, that is an area of some debate. Many say that the Void is an actual place, a plane of existence where the evil pay for their transgressions for all of eternity. Others say that the Void is merely a state of unbeing, not an actual place. What is known is that when someone is banished, they are no longer here, and they cannot come back. Yes, exactly. Yeah, they go out of their way to show that like people don't really know for sure what the Void is, and I appreciate that depending on who you talk to about it and what stage you're at in the game, different people have different answers or theories, and some of them are more academic, some of them are more superstitious or mystical, and I think that that's really cool. Arcanum is a really deep game when it comes to stuff like that, and I think the fact that they chose this backdrop of technology and magic kind of cycling through each other helps with that, because the whole world is in a period of transition. So lots of people have questions, and there are lots of people questioning things that were previously thought to be known or that no one cared to understand. A fate to avoid. Boo. Boo.
How is that any different from death?
A death, as proven through magic, is sometimes a temporary state. Entities can be resurrected. There is no resurrection from the Void. Banishment was a permanent solution, a punishment of the highest degree. It's never done anymore. There are those who believe the knowledge of how to do so has been lost forever.
Has anyone else ever been banished?
Exactly. See, old man, that's a very good point, right? Like, think about it. This is like a Dungeons and Dragons level problem where, like, okay, we killed the evil wizard. So, someone with a $5,000 diamond and sufficient determination, and who prays to the right god can bring the evil wizard back. Like, you didn't accomplish anything. It was a temporary state, if anything, and when he comes back, he's gonna be pissed. So if anything, you made the problem worse by delaying it for a little while, right? So, yeah, and even science can resurrect people here, as Vendigroth has proven. So the fact that they go out of their way to be like, listen, sometimes the evil archwizard has to be, like, we have to go above and beyond. Like, death is not sufficient. There had to be something else, because people can come back from death. You can bounce back from a good death or two, with the right allies and the right circumstances. Yes, others have been banished over the centuries. The Arcanum actually names 4 of them specifically: Gorgoth, the Bane of Kree, Kurgan, and Krakatur. Of course, there were others, but these were the most infamous. Now, most of these are names we have heard, right? The Bane of Kree, that was the barbarian chieftain, right? Who had the evil sword and stuff. Kurgan was the necromancer who led the Daryon Ka. Yes, the evil Conan guy, exactly.
Tell me of the Bane of Cree.
He was a nomad warrior who was able to gather together nearly all the ancient nomadic tribes and create a vicious army out of them. When his army descended on the city of Cree, he mercilessly killed every man, woman, and child that lived there. Nazardin was forced to confront him and banish him single-handedly.
And Gorgoth?
Gorgoth was a mindless beast with an insatiable appetite. He cut a swath of destruction from one end of Arcanum to the other, laying waste to everything in his desperate hunt for food. He was finally captured by the council after a struggle which lasted for days, and with no other alternative, it was decided he be banished from Arcanum.
And Krakatur?
Krakatur was a conniving, twisted monster, half man and half dragon, who terrorized cities and villages, killing their inhabitants and burning them to the ground. With the strength of a dragon, but the dark heart of a basest man, he was evil beyond comparison. After a colossal battle, he was subdued and banished. In the struggle, he lost an eye, which is on display in the offices of archaeology if you're interested.
And Kurgan?
Kurgan was the very first mage to ever delve into the darker side of necromancy. The Elven Council, when they found out what he was doing, demanded that he ceased his studies. He refused, so they banished him. Okay. Right, a few more general questions.
What can you tell me of Nasreddin? Who was he?
Right. Aha, here we go.
What was the Elven Council?
A group of elves... yes, okay. The Elven Council was a group of elves who ruled Arcanum during the Age of Legends. It was made up of powerful elven mages, and their leader was Nasreddin. Together, they oversaw the well-being of all the races. The council was disbanded soon after the death of Nasreddin. They felt that their time had passed. It was not for anyone to rule over all the races.
What is this Age of Legends?
It refers to a time between 1500 and 1000 years ago. The Elven Council, of which Nasreddin was the leader, was the central authority for all of the lands of Arcanum. It is referred to as the Age of Legends because much of what happened during that time is steeped in mythology and speculation, but we do know that magic was very prevalent at the time. Okay.
Where is Nasreddin now?
He's been dead for more than 2,000 years.
How did he die?
He died after he and the council banished Aranax at the Ring of Brodgar. Nasreddin was wounded mortally in the battle, which preceded the banishment, and died not long after.
Where did he die?
According to the Archaon, Nasreddin traveled to the southernmost tip of the land, and there laid himself to rest. That is why we are here. This temple is built over his remains. Oh, cool. I'll have to go see that.
And where might I find these remains?
The remains of Nasreddin are just below us in the lower catacombs. There's a stairway through the doors behind me. It leads down to the burial chamber and the sarcophagus in which he's encased. Unfortunately, only church elders and pilgrims are allowed to see the remains.
Uh-huh. And what of his teachings? Are there scriptures that you study?
There are many writings we study, but the most important book in the Panarii religion is the Arcanum. It is a collection of what are considered the most representative teachings of Nasreddin, as well as some prophecies that were made in the early years following his death.
Where might I see a copy of the Arcanum?
Oh, it's just over there, the large book on the pedestal. Feel free to peruse its pages and gain what wisdom there is to be found. If you'd like to discuss anything you find confusing or unclear, I'd be happy to oblige you.
Thank you, Alexander. And what is the essence of Nasrudin's teachings?
He was an ardent believer in elven philosophy. Elves feel that everyone and everything have their rightful place in the world, that this reality is formed through the combined experience of all forms of life. Good and evil rarely play a part in how elves view the world. It's the one addressed to Dr. B. Unni, Esquire.
What might be considered evil?
Evil, in the most basic terms, might be described as something which disallows the progression of the natural order. I suppose it's a gray area, but you might say evil is anything diametrically opposed to elven philosophy.
To which I might say even those things have their place.
It's said that single elven philosophical debates have spanned literal decades. You can see why.
Elven and dwarven philosophy are very different.
Oh, do you know of dwarven philosophy? Aha! See, and this comes back because we have talked to the prince, and we have talked to Loghaire, and so on, right?
I've discussed at length the stone and the shape.
Gives you an appraising look, obviously impressed. Not many Outlanders can speak of these things. Tell me, my friend, what do you see as the major difference between the two? And some very interesting choices. Merely a matter of magic and technology. You can just boil it down like that. Solidity versus immateriality. I find the discussion pointless. Both camps are misguided. Or you could just leave. But this is my favorite.
The dwarven world is internal. Elves live outside of themselves.
His eyes widen. You've shown a wisdom here which belies your age, my friend. You've taught me something today I didn't know. For that, I am in your debt.
I am glad to have been of service.
Okay, the Archaon. Here we go.
What are some of the Archaon's prophecies?
There are many. The most heavily debated are those concerning the return of both Aranax and Nasrudin.
And what do your prophecies say of this?
This is what we call the return of the living one. And I quote, Nasrudin's pure spirit will be reborn on wings of fire, in hills shrouded in fog, and fight the final battle with the evil one. You see, the return of Nasrudin, who we call the living one, will be a time of rejoicing, but also a time of darkness, as it heralds also the return of Aranax, the evil one.
Wait. Aranax was banished. I thought you said that was permanent.
That is a subject of debate. Some believe that the return of Aranax, and Nasrudin for that matter, will be accomplished through reincarnation, the rebirth of their spirits, not their physical forms. Others believe that the whole affair is merely symbolic and representative of the conflict we are seeing today between magic and technology.
And what do you believe, Alexander?
Call me archaic, but I'm a firm believer in a literal translation of the scriptures. I believe that both of them will be embodied, and that a war will be waged here in this existence. I, for one, will be ready for that conflict. Sog was the reincarnation the whole time. That would be an incredible plot twist. Okay, I think we have asked him everything. Right. Where did he die? Okay. All right. That was a lot, so.
Wait! Do you see that man? The one at the front of the temple?
The one we just spent half an hour talking to?
Yes, that's Alexander.
That's Alexander!
Yes.
First acolyte of the Panarii church.
I said that.
Never thought I'd actually lay eyes on him.
Well, you've been staring at him for an hour, Virgil.
The man's a living legend. Joachim used to tell me stories about him. Not a nobler soul in all of Arcanum, it said. And he's a skilled warrior as well. Not the sort you want to tangle with.
Thank you for that input, Virgil.
You'll have to excuse my follower. He's fangirling.
Okay, I don't think that there is anything else here right now. Oh, actually, there was... Here we go. That's it. Who else might I speak to regarding the history of the Panarii? There are many scholars here in the First Temple. The two most learned are Hadrian, the church archaeologist, and Gunther Wilhelm, the church historian. Both are well versed in Panarii history and have detailed information concerning their specific disciplines.
Where might I find them, Alexander?
Each of them have offices just through the doors behind me. When we're finished speaking, I'll open the doors for you. Ta-da! There we go. Panarii believe in... And this thing too, yes. Okay, there were two more here. How was the church started? It was started right after the death of Nasrudin. You see, Nasrudin is seen as our savior. He defended Arcanum against the madness of Aranax, and through his courage and wisdom brought a new and enlightened age. Had he been unsuccessful, all those races not elven would now be slaves.
And who began the church?
Many of the early church records were destroyed, but those that still survive indicate that the Panarii church was started by the elves, and they were later joined by the humans. We are an open congregation. We welcome all into our membership. After all, Nasrudin defended us all in his battle with Aranax. We will be no different than he. Okay, and the statue.
There's a statue in the courtyard. What can you tell me of it?
That's a statue of St. Manox, one of the early founders of the church.
Of what importance is St. Manox?
He is a very, very holy man. There are many miracles attributed to him, and most of them are well documented. He was the only man in the history of the Panarii Church to ever have ascended. There's a talisman associated with him at the offices of archaeology if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Wait, what do you mean ascended?
Legend tells that St. Manox was visited by the spirit of Nasrudin himself, and that Nasrudin found him so holy that he took his body directly from this plane of existence to the next. This has only ever happened once in all of our history, so we remember him. Alexander gets a strange, far-off look in his eyes. Pride and a little sadness, it seems.
Did anyone actually see it happen?
There are signed confessions from two of the high-ranking church elves at the time. They both described the ascension of St. Manox in beautiful detail. You can speak with Gunther Wilhelm further about this if you'd like. He's the church historian, as well as the most learned of us in the teachings and prophecies of the Arcanum. So yes, this is St. Manox. So I'm not gonna go too much into St. Manox. I will just say there's a reason you can ask about him, and there is more to him than meets the eye. But I will leave that for you to find out. That is not a quest or a secret for this playthrough. I believe we already read this. Yes, Saint not appearing in this playthrough. Here we go. Okay. That's Gunther, and that's Hadrian, I believe. And then down here are the catacombs, where we can go see Nasrudin's remains. I think I already saved it, but... We'll talk with Gunther first. Hello, daughter.
Greetings. And who are you, sir?
The thin man in front of you is very properly dressed. Instead of robes, he wears a finely made suit. A pair of thin gold spectacles lie across his nose. His features are delicate, but his eyes belie a strength of body and character, as well as harboring a fierce intelligence. He regards you intensely. You might. I am Wilhelm. Gunther Wilhelm.
A pleasure, sir. What exactly do you do here?
I am the church historian. I have a variety of responsibilities here, from translations to document restorations, as well as authentication of any literary finds. If it's written and it has to do with the Panarii, it's my job to know about it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and very well. Might I ask you a few questions?
What is it you'd like to know?
Tell me of some of your work.
And what about my work are you interested in?
What are you currently working on?
Points to some books on his desk. His movements are quick and precise. Currently, I am doing some research on older translations of the Arcanum. I've found some interesting discrepancies that I am looking into.
Discrepancies? What do you mean?
There are a few differences in some of the passages that I found in this earlier copy. I'll give you an example. The Archaon we read today refers to our order as the Panarii. The word Panarii in the old tongue means light servant or follower, but in this older copy I'm studying, we are referred to as the Panrines, which means defenders of the gate. Very odd. Instead of Panarii, it's the Panrines.
Interesting. Was there anything else?
A few minor things. I'm still working on the translations. Perhaps it's something we can speak of later.
And I had some questions about Saint Mannix.
What do you want to know?
What else do you know about him, Gunter?
Almost all of the records concerning the life of the great saint have been lost over the years. Very little is known about him or what he did before he was taken. Of course, there are the usual insubstantial accounts of miracles. And of course there's Alexander.
What do you mean? What does Alexander have to do with him?
You haven't heard. He almost never speaks of it. The man has enough humility for all of us. Alexander is a direct descendant of Mannix. His family has held the possession of First Acolyte for the last 1,500 years.
Holy shit, that's quite a legacy.
Yes, it is. There's no better man to bear it. Alexander is a saint in his own right. There are few men I respect, my friend. Alexander is a noble soul. Do you know anything of him?
Well, I spoke to him for quite a while, but...
Alexander hasn't always been with us here at the temple. You see, the First Acolyte's role in any Panarii temple is as spiritual leader and warlord. Symbolically, he is to assume these roles just as Nazarene did so many years ago. Most acolytes go into this very lightly. They might entreat the local constabulary to train them in basic combat techniques. Not so Alexander.
What did he do?
Alexander left us for 10 years and studied with some of the most feared and respected masters in several combat disciplines. For his pilgrimage, he traveled to the Vendigroth wastes and lived there alone until he thought himself ready to assume his post. If you know nothing of the wastes, know this. There's no more terrible place in all of Arcanum.
Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, owned the soundtrack, etc. So he's a skilled warrior.
There's not a more dangerous man in all of Caledon.
Ah, but there is a more dangerous woman. Ah.
And he's very well versed in 2 or 3 of the magic colleges as well, as are all of us who are Panarii elders. The temple hasn't been in safer hands since it was in those of the great saint himself.
Interesting. So do you believe in the Ascension, then?
There is no doubt in my mind that Mannix was a very holy man. My belief in an inconclusive set of circumstances does not invalidate that fact, regardless of how that might reflect on my own faith.
But I've heard that there were eyewitnesses to the event.
There were 2 eyewitnesses to the ascension of Mannix. One was an elf named Rondar, and the other, what was his name? Kanhua, I believe. Their accounts of the incident were almost exactly the same, and both were beautifully written. So that's an important name right there as well, but again, Saint not appearing in this playthrough. A couple other questions.
I had some questions about the remains of Nazarene.
What would you like to know about them?
Well, what do you know about them?
Me? I know very little about them, save for the documents we've associated with their discovery and a few research documents about the sarcophagus itself. Hadrian, the archaeologist, would have more information about the specifics.
Do the church records say who discovered them?
Yes, let me see. Pulls a weathered tome from the shelf. Here we are. The elf's name was Kanhua.
Wasn't that the person who witnessed the ascension?
Why, yes. It's at least the same name. Let me look at the years. The discovery of the remains happened within a few years of the ascension of St. Manox. I never realized that, even though that's literally my job and I am a trained and practicing historian. But you're correct. That very well might have been the same person, possibly, perhaps.
Don't you find that strange? Perhaps even a little convenient?
I'm very curious about this whole affair, my friend. What is your real interest in this?
It's a long tale. Here we go again.
I see. You're telling me that you are the sole survivor of the IFS Zephyr blimp crash?
Yes.
He's silent for a long while, then a slight smile comes over his face and he takes your hand in his. I was wondering when you were going to tell me. I've been looking for you for a long time, you know. The rumors abound, and we'd heard you might come calling. I'm so very glad you've decided to put your trust in me.
Thank you, Gunther. I really need to see those remains.
Listen, my friend. Not everyone here is sympathetic to your cause. Hadrian, the archaeologist, is the one who you need to speak with, but be very careful. He's an old and loyal friend, but belief in you will come slowly for him. He will be the best source of information regarding the remains and how you might see them, but tread lightly. Subterfuge might be necessary.
I'll remember that, Gunther. Thank you for your help.
No. Thank you, my friend. Return when you've seen the remains and tell me what you find. I may be able to help you once you know what it is you're looking for.
I will.
Now, of course... Do you think they are authentic? That's the only thing we didn't ask. To tell you the truth, I really don't know. I've done a lot of research into the engravings on the sarcophagus. Everything seems to be in order. It just seems to me that it's all very convenient. I mean, who buried him? We have no records of that. There's no doubt that an elf of his stature would have been given an elaborate burial. But who did it? We don't know. Interesting. Interesting indeed. It's alright. So here's Hadrian. And here are these artifacts that we need. So, the Finger of Manox, the saint himself, the Eye of Krakatur, and Strange Glass Device. That's what we really need. Okay. Now we are a master of persuasion. Hopefully this will be a little easier. Nice to meet you.
Hello, and who might you be?
Man in front of you is a wizened old gnome with wildish gray hair and a beard 3 days grown. He looks up at you grinning toothlessly. Call me Hadrian, acolyte of the Panarii and the local expert on church archaeology. How might I help you today?
Greetings. I'm Dr. B. Unni Esquire. Might I speak with you for a moment?
Certainly.
Let's talk about your work. Tell me about some of the objects you have here.
Which one would you like to know about?
What is that? A skeleton's finger?
Yes, that is the finger of Saint Manox.
His finger. Why is that here?
Legend tells of a time when St. Manox had been captured by barbarians. They were plundering the surrounding countryside and were holding Manox for ransom. He told his people to refuse, so the barbarians threatened to cut off one of his fingers if he didn't comply. Manox calmly picked up a knife, told them there would be no ransom, and cut it off himself.
Sounds like a hard man.
Yes, he was when he needed to be. Is there anything else you'd like to know?
And, what is that black gem?
That is the Eye of Krakatur.
Really? But it's such a beautiful stone.
No, I mean it's really the Eye of Krakatur. When the council was banishing him, he put up quite a struggle.
Somehow the monster's eye got put out, and someone found it as they were cleaning up. Dreadful creature, Krakatoa was. If you ask Alexander about who's been banished over the years, he'll tell you the story.
Perhaps I'll do that. What is that glass device?
Yeah, no idea. Sure is pretty, though, huh?
Yes. Are they for sale?
No. Why, these are priceless church artifacts. I wouldn't part with them for worldly riches.
Well, what do you know of the remains of Nasreddin?
Yeah, just some janitor just like, oh. Like,
Remains of Nasreddin? What would you like to know about them?
Yeah, I couldn't part with them for worldly riches. That sounds like a man who could be bribed.
Who found them?
The burial chamber and the sarcophagus were found by one of the elves of the early church. Yeah, his name escapes me, but if you speak with Gunter Wilhelm about it, he'll be able to give you the details. The church was then built over the catacombs.
Have you seen them?
No, I'd do anything to see those old bones of his. There are so many questions I could answer if I could only have a look at them. When he died, how he died. I want to know if his skeletal structure is the same as common elves, or if his prolonged use of powerful magics changed him somehow. So many questions, and I've never been able to see them.
Why? You're the church archaeologist. Surely you...
Yes, you'd think so, wouldn't you, young lady? I mean, when the elders need someone to go digging in the dank caverns of the Bankelian deeps, who do they call upon? Or if some poor fool comes across a tomb sealed with Golgothian blood curses, ring the bell for old Hadrian.
But why won't they let you see the remains, Hadrian?
I've no idea.
He throws his hands in the air, upending a stack of papers and what looks to be a cup of dark ale.
They speak of desecration and sacrilege, but the man is dead. D-E-A-D. I respect and cherish Nasreddin and what he taught us more than anyone, but I hardly think he'd be upset if I chipped a piece of bone from his earthly shell.
Yes, it's Hadrian's whale. That's really good, actually.
I see your point. I myself would love to take a look at them.
Really? Are you a fellow archaeologist, my friend?
Now, I am a medical doctor.
And we can't just tell him up front, right? I'll show you what happens.
The living one? You? I think that's in very poor taste. Do you have any idea what it is that you're proposing?
Yes, I know it's hard to believe, but...
You know, we were told to watch out for someone like you. The high priest said there would be an impostor who would try to pass himself off as the living one. You're lucky I don't have you thrown in chains right here.
Wait, Hadrian, this is important. I need your help.
Look, please just leave. I couldn't help you see the remains in any case. If I've never seen them, they're certainly not going to let you.
I see. Well, good day to you.
Wait.
Yes?
Hey. Well, hey, thank you for joining us and being part of it. And thank you for enjoying so much. Revenant was a lot of fun to play. I liked it, and it had been a long time since I'd gone back to it. So I am glad that it brought you a little joy. It certainly brought quite a bit to me to play it for y'all. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for being along for the ride. It was a blast. It was a number of blasts, actually, often. Oh my gosh, don't even talk to me about him. It's so funny. Like, that fight specifically was so difficult, and then you just get to cheese the final boss because he's got bad AI. This is so funny. Like, by comparison, there's all this build-up, and then it just ate him alive.
Listen, I don't know what to think anymore. I am an old man and very set in my beliefs. It's much easier for me to think you a charlatan than to face the alternative.
Yes, absolutely. That is my opinion on it as well. Like so many of the games that I play, like some of them are cult classics, some of them are kind of unknown, and so many of them are underrated because, you know, like either they've kind of been forgotten about or they have gone by the wayside, but they have had so much influence on the games that we play now. You know, like Scald the Black Priory on Steam is getting rave reviews, and there would not be any Scald if there hadn't been Baldur's Gate or Eye of the Beholder and, you know, Lands of Lore, etc. So, you know, it's worth it to remember them. And Revenant is one of those games I feel like they really set it up for a sequel, and it's a shame we did not get it. That's up there with Betrayal and Antara.
I understand, Hadrian, and I'm sorry.
If the remains are what you seek, you may want to wander around the local sewers. You never know what you'll find down there. Perhaps you could bring back whatever it is you come across. Perhaps you could bring it back for me to look at. I'll look around. If I find anything, I'll bring it back. You do that, my friend. Is there anything else?
So there. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. By this point in the game, I always have Master Persuasion. And I don't know that I've ever played a character that didn't have Master Persuasion training just because of the nature of Arcanum itself, as you have seen, you know, following through with this playthrough. It's such a deep game, and there's so much conversation and so many different little twists and turns and different ways that quests can go and that conversations can go. You are really not getting the full experience if you do not have the persuasion skill. In the same way that if you are playing like one of the old Black Isle D&D games like Icewind Dale or Baldur's Gate, if you don't have a high intelligence score and a high charisma score and sometimes a high wisdom score, you are not seeing everything that the game has to show you. So I always play Master Persuasion, and because of that, I actually don't know if this particular line of dialogue right here, where we just confess to him after everybody was like, you know, he might not like you saying you're the living one, and we're just like, hey, we're the living one, and he's like, oh, well, okay, I guess. Like, it's always just been that easy for me, and I think that might be because of Master Persuasion, but I don't remember if there's ever been a playthrough where I talked to him and didn't have it, so I actually don't know for sure. It might just be like that, like, period, no matter what your character build is. I don't know. So, and yes, again, I really love the spell mixing system and the combo system, so. Yeah, well, if you have a chance, definitely give it a try, because you can usually get it for really cheap. There's a lot of good mods out there and a solid modding community, and there's lots of fan patches and things like this one that make the game run a lot better on newer systems. And there is so much replayability because this has been a pretty exhaustive playthrough, and I promise there is a load of stuff that I have not shown off for a lot of reasons. Like, we're playing a tech character, not a magic character, first of all. And then there's just certain skills that we don't have that we aren't using. There are companions, potential recruits over here that we have not even spoken to, or that we have walked past, or that we have, in a couple of cases, disposed of. And also, we're good. If you are evil, the game is very different, and it's a different playthrough if you are evil and violent, or if you can do an evil pacifist run, which is a very interesting way to play the game, I'm sure. So, okay, right, where are they? He told us it's downstairs. Okay, I think that's everything that he has to say at the moment. So yeah, there's an enormous amount of replayability in Arcanum, and you can usually get it for like $5 US, or cheaper. So I highly recommend it if you can pick it up on like GOG or something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen it for as little as like $1.99 or 99 cents. Ah, here we go. Well, you have to beat life first, unfortunately. I think to get to the really good stuff, you have to beat it on the hardest difficulty. Lucky for you, we may be in the darkest timeline. I don't know, so. Yeah, Nirvana. It's like Gehenna in like Vampire the Masquerade.
I've been uncovering some strange things, Alexander.
Really? Just what are you talking about?
Gunter's discovered something about the name of the Panarii.
He seems unperturbed. That is strange, my friend, but it seems a fairly trivial thing. There are small differences in almost every translation. This was probably just an honest mistake. And let's tell him about Kanhua. Now this does seem to bother him a little. That is an interesting fact. Perhaps there is something in this here. Was there anything else?
There were a few more.
Okay, so we will come back to that. Okay, and now we should have... Here we go. Hadrian the Archaeologist wants you to bring back a piece of Nazarton's skeleton. Let's do it. It's been a hot second since we fought anything. Okay, now is this a section of sewer we have actually been in? Partially. I think this might be one of the locations where, like, we explored part of it and then not all of it because we ran out of inventory space and we had no choice but to go back and empty our backpacks. Ah, but see, look here. All of these undead, you say? Oh no! Sewer slitherers. Boop. The doctor is in, fools. Some of these interactions with these characters are wildly different if you are magically oriented versus technologically, if you are evil, or even neutral, actually. That's important to remember, too. There are neutral-specific interactions, which I think is very cool, because not a lot of games do that. What a good doggo. Boop. Let's just let them come to us. So yeah, highly recommend it if you can find it and play it, because there is so much to discover for yourself and so much to love about the game that I have not gotten to show you. Man. Now you see why I needed a lot of ammo for Raven. Excuse me, I'm looting.
What is it that you want of me?
Actually, I don't want anything of you specifically. Let's do that. She'll make good use of a haste potion. You need the Morgana's Tears. We have a sapphire. We've got a heartstone. Okay, I think we're good there. Boop. Yeah, Torment is another great one as well, and I'm about to play Icewind Dale 2, but I have not yet played Torment, and people have been asking, and that's one of those that's going to take a long time, and it's going to be very involved, and we're just going to have to accept that, much like here in Arcanum, we're going to miss stuff. There's going to be things we're not going to see on any playthrough of Torment, because there is so much to see, and so much of it varies based on your stats and your character class and your alignment. So it's just going to have to be what it is, and we're going to have to decide, okay, are we playing a lawful evil thief, or are we playing a chaotic good fighter, or like, what are we doing? Damn, look at her go. That's an April Fool's, right? Lady of Pain %, as they say. Oh my god, yes, because there's so much. I mean, there's a lot of Torment is voiced, but also a lot of it is not. Yeah, and class can change too. You can go back and forth. You can only be single class, but you can be a fighter, a mage, or a thief, and you can switch back and forth between them basically at will after a certain point in the game. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to a playthrough of Planescape Torment, but we've got to get through Icewind Dale 2 first, and maybe Baldur's Gate 2. We'll have to see. Depends on what y'all pick, of course, because we will see what you decide. Hey, it's time to use some of this. What if we just... Haha. And what if we just... And maybe if we... Okay, well. We'll let the lads finish that. So, your alignment, definitely. Your class up to a certain point, I think, although you start as a fighter, but then, like, you can just talk to people to change your class. I think the only class you can't be that you can get in your party is Cleric, because, like, Dakan can turn you into a fighter or a mage, and Anna can turn you into a thief, but talking to Fall from Grace, like, you can't become a Cleric, as far as I can recall. Please do not hesitate to fact-check me on that, but I don't think that you can be a Cleric. And, of course, all the other classes, like, you know, Ranger and Paladin and stuff, are not available. It's only the handful. Ooh. Loot. More loot. Hello. Here.
What is it you need?
I need for you to hold on to that for me. The way he says it actually reminds me of Dakan from Planescape Torment.
What is it you need?
The way he says, what is it you need? It reminds me of how Dakan says, like, you know, it is not known to me. The way he places that emphasis on the word no. I could kind of see that, actually, because I have the boxes for both Revenant and Planescape, and I could see kind of, like from a distance, how you would think one might be the other. Yes, it can get off to a slow start because there are so many options. You can kind of get choice paralysis in Arcanum, I think. And also, like, if you're not a combat build, then the game can bog you down with monsters that can very easily kill you very quickly at low levels, just like we went through that. We had to hide behind Virgil, and we had to go get our doggo like as quickly as possible and Sog as quickly as possible because she's not a combat build. On the other hand, if you are a combat build, then those encounters are not going to be much trouble, but you're not going to have a lot of conversation options and a high charisma and beauty score, probably, and you're going to miss a lot in conversation, which means you're going to be missing out on quests, and therefore the rewards and the XP, or you're going to be missing out on certain ways to complete specific quests, and it will be harder to actually progress the story, and it will slow down. So... take this, please. Forgot what I was doing. Oh, nice. A bow. We will hang on to that for Raven. Alright. And here we go. This is where we're going to spend the rest of the stream, folks. Oh, man. Oh, I do remember saving that guy. Yeah, but I did not know that. Oh, wow. I don't know that voice actor's name, but that's very cool that that's what he went on to do. He went on to be Spider-Man. That's cool. That's really cool. I love when people have that kind of range, because that's very much like how, oh no. Can't remember. What's his name? Aaron? The mage farm boy, himbo from Betrayal in Antara, the blonde guy. Is it Aaron? I keep wanting to say Owen, and that's the blonde mage, like, farmer boy from Betrayal at Krondor. And so, anyway, his voice actor was also the one who did, like, Rawl and the bird people like the messenger bird, so. That's awesome. I love finding that. It's like, where have I heard that? I know he sounds so familiar, and then you look up, it's like, oh my god, it's that guy. Okay, so here we go. These stairs just go right back up to the temple, in case that was not apparent. So we are now in the catacombs. Oh, aha. Once you've knocked, you have 2 more. A word is the key that opens this door. This door looks to be carved from a single block of stone. Letters carved into its surface read, "Knock no more times than 3, if ye have not the key." So we have knocked once. Twice you have knocked, you've 1 knock left. Without the key, that one is death. Oh, you've made the mistake, nowhere to run. The 3rd knock means the demons come. Storm Soldier, level 20. Oh, honey. Here we go. I just need to move. Honey. Oh, yes. Yeah. And I actually did not know that because I didn't really know who she was until way later, because Mass Effect is the game that made her famous to me. And that's when I started that's when I knew who Jennifer Hale was. And then I went back later and played it, and I was like, why does Fall from Grace sound so familiar? It must be nostalgia glasses because I played this game before, so of course she sounds familiar. She sounds like Fall from Grace. No, it's Jennifer Hale.
I've never seen such a skillful blow.
Thank you, Raven. Oh, that's the first time we've actually seen her her critical, or heard her critical voice line. The illustrious femme champion. Okay, let me see. Actually, before we do this, because I just need to get through the door.
What is it that you want of me? What can I answer for you?
What do you know about this place?
Caledon! This is truly my home. I have always wanted to return here, but fear kept me away. I am truly free now.
No, Virgil, I meant this place,
What can I answer for
specifically.
you? The Silver Lady told us that our answer lies with Nasrudin. I do not think she was referring to you, eh? We should go to the Central Panarii Temple in Caledon.
Yes.
Nasrudin's remains are buried there.
That is not helpful, Virgil. Yes. So this world goes in cycles of magic and technology, and we're in a cycle where magic is kind of cycling down and technology is spinning up. And because of that, a lot of things are happening, including some people, evil people from the past are coming back, a la most fantasy games. So it's a really fascinating concept. And yes, thank you for helping to explain that. Okay. What was I doing? Right. Shoot. What is the... We need to know... Does Raven
How may I
maybe?
help you? Then I will do my best to answer.
What do you know about this place?
This is Caledon.
Yes, I
The first
know.
Panarii temple is here. If we seek answers about Nasrudin, then that is where we should go.
That is literally where we are.
How may I help you?
Okay.
Then I will do my
What do
best
you
to
know about
answer.
Nasrudin?
Nasrudin. He was the leader of the Elven Council during the Age of Legends. And since my mother said that your answers lie with him, I recommend we find out as much about him as possible.
Unhelpful. Oh my gosh, I have completely blanked on this. Right, we need a word. We have to speak to... Right, and clicking 3 times spawns these guys. I think you have to, at a certain point, you have to, if you know the word, you speak to the door. But I don't remember where you get the word. Oh no. I may have to go back. Oh yeah, got that fantasy industrial revolution thing. Yes. Actually, that's a really good comparison. If you play tabletop RPGs, or video games nowadays too, Shadowrun is a really good comparison. It's the kind of I wouldn't say the opposite, but magic is like coming back. And so there is technology, but a lot of the technology is like cyberpunk type near future stuff, and some of it is like combined with magic. So it's a little different, but the idea is the same, I think. Okay, I feel like I thought one of the priests was supposed to tell us the password. That's why I kind of came straight down here, like I felt like I should already know it. Because usually when I come down here, there's several ways, by the way, that you can get into the tomb. Of course, you can just kill the guards. That is possible. You can come through the sewers like us. You can also, as a charismatic character or a sneaky character, you can put on priest's robes so that you look like a Panarii priest, and then just lie to the guards and have them let you through. But this is the way I usually do it, and I have the password when I come down here. So I have missed something. Let me go back here. Okay, honored. Right. Let's talk about your work. Remains of Nazardan. Where are they? Who found them? Okay. Discrepancies. St. Mannix. Right. Remains. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I also wasn't sure. Especially since it took so long to come out. I was like, oh man. Is Baldur's Gate 3 actually going to be any good? But they knocked it out of the park. And yeah, that's something that I think Baldur's Gate has shown really well, and a lot of other indie games too, is that it's important to remember that the markets for some of these older games like this, they have not disappeared. They are still out there, because a lot of the people who are playing these games nowadays are not people like from my generation. They are way younger than me that are picking up these old games and running with them. A lot of it has to do with the speedrunning community, for example. And they found out all kind of interesting stuff and get into old games like this because old games are easier to break, I think, for the most part, or it's easier to crack them open and see what makes them run on the inside, so to speak. So that means that by way of speedrunning, too, a lot of people get into these old games and they get into modding and fan patches and stuff like that. So, exactly, yeah, and Baldur's Gate 3 has sent a lot of people back to play old Black Isle and Troika games and TSR games and stuff like that. So, yeah. I would love an HD remake of Arcanum where they could tighten up some of the bugs and improve the graphics a little bit, but like still do it this way, top down, just with like better models and so on. So yeah, that too. And there's plenty of other games that I could say the same thing about, such as like Wizardry 8. Wizardry 8 was definitely on a budget. Okay, let me just do it the other way. Let's see, that's unlocked. Where is it? I think think if we go in here... Ah, here we go. Okay, I'm just going to do it this way. That way I can show this off too. And you can see the different paths that are available. Ahem. Hold there, what business have you here, friend?
Where does this door lead to?
This door leads to the tomb of Nazardan.
I see. Might I go and take a look?
I'm sorry, but the only people besides church elders who are allowed to see the remains are Panarii brothers and sisters on pilgrimages. We haven't seen one of those in a long, long time.
Oh, I'm on a pilgrimage myself, just in to see the remains.
I'm sorry, but you don't wear the pilgrim's robes, and... Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I picked up the wrong ones, maybe? Priest robes. Dang it. Oh, nope, not that. Oh, shoot. Pretty sure I was wearing the priest's or the pilgrim's robes. Well, dang it. No, I've really screwed up. Because... Okay, let me try this, actually. Oh, Dungeon Siege is also really good. I really want to play Dungeon Siege on the channel. I have not done so because I know once we get into it, it's going to take a really long time because Dungeon Siege is a huge game, especially if you have the Legends of... what's it called? Arania or something like that. Anyway, the expansion. It's a really big game, and there's a lot to it. But I do want to play it. Okay. Let me do this. It might be... Okay. Once you've knocked, you have 2 more, etc. Right.
How may I help you?
Oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to click on you. Okay, now we're gonna loot back again. Because, of course, I loaded it without clicking, or to a state before we had interacted with the door. So let me, having spoken, quote-unquote, to the door, let me go back and talk to them now. Yeah, and there's a lot of great indie games that are retro-styled or like throwback-styled that are coming out, and you can tell that they are made by people way younger than me, but who they have a love for this kind of game. So like Scald the Black Priory, of course, coming out. There's a number of them that I have wishlisted, like I'm waiting for them to come out. Call of Sarignar, I'm very excited about. Because I fell in love with Antara playing it for y'all, and Sarignar is like a direct love letter to that. Okay. Still looking. I've already done all of this. Dang it. Okay, what am I missing? I've played this game a dozen times. What am I missing? What am I not remembering correctly? We've got Master Persuasion. We're trying to get through that door. Because the entrance to Nasruddin's tomb is through the sewers. But there's more than one entrance. Maybe that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'm going through the wrong entrance, because I know you can. Oh, thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Trance. Truly, I am spoiled here. Thank you so much for sticking around. Yeah, we're just trying to be gay and do crimes. I don't understand the problem. Oh, man. Yeah, budget cuts and time constraints, that's always the big killer. Even things like Final Fantasy VII suffered because of that. And, I know Revenant definitely did. Wizardry 8 that I mentioned, for sure, suffered from that. There is a whole quest line that, like, is not finished because of... they had to cut it for time and, like, ran out of money. The broken tiles? You might mean, like, the hole in the wall here, perhaps? Oh, wait a minute. Well, that solves that. Lol. Forgot there are two of them. There's two entrances. You just have to mouse over. Like, the hitbox is weird, but... Yeah, no, there is a way to learn that password, and I don't know what I am missing. I don't know what trigger I have not flipped, or if the game is bugged, like if I've forgotten something. But usually when I get to this door over here, I've got the password. I wonder if it's because my charisma's not high enough. Because we have Master Persuasion, but there are some conversation options that actually trip based on your charisma score, and then, like, some of them separately check for your persuasion skill. And then there are others where it's like the conversation option is there, but it doesn't go the way you want it to unless you have a certain level of persuasion training and a certain number of points in it. So that might be what it is. Maybe I need 20 charisma to get the password. Oh, that's what it... Oh, I told him the truth. And you have to lie to him to get the password. Is that what it is? That's weird. I feel like I usually don't lie to him. Get 'em, boys. Oh, there goes our nurse. Nurses to the front. Come on, Georg. You know, I don't want the spiders to get damaged, so I'm going to intervene. Oh, okay. That must be what it is I didn't tell him I was a fellow archaeologist. Okay. That makes sense, actually. Thank you for looking that up and checking. Because even if we don't necessarily need it now, at least we know. Get them, my allies. How dare you, honestly. Nurse. Get him. Oh, Magnus got him a little piece. Nice. I'm just doing this for the experience points. There's a lot of blood on the walls, and a lot of skeletons chained to said walls. For it to be the tomb of a great elven hero, don't you think? Thank you, nurse. Okay, we'll head down this way. There's nothing in here that we have to be afraid of. Even those storm knights. It's like... And? It's like, oh, you triggered my trap. Now the demons will get you. Like, okay, they're level 20. Yes, but there's like 10 of them. Yeah, but they're level 20, though. Yes. Yes, that is exactly what I think of every time is the Skeletor. Nyeh. Either that or like Papyrus from Undertale. I would also accept. Don't you touch our doggo. Get him. Get your revenge. Your delicious, calcium-rich revenge. Hello? Why am I stuck in turn-based? Ah, that's why. I don't know why Doggo was not, like, attacking, but... Get them. They're back here. They're in reach. Get them. Sog turns into such a powerhouse because he doesn't do anything else. Okay. There's our spiders. They're lagging way behind. We're not far enough away from them to cause it to do like the rubber band teleport. Okay, that's the other entrance. I think. Twice you have knocked, right? Is that... It's not everywhere, is it? Oh my god. Oh no. Oh no, y'all. Y'all, I'm gonna have to go back again. Do you know what I've done? Do you know what I have done? Oh gosh, okay. I have done goofed. I have done goofed. Okay, let me... I'm in the right section of sewers. I went through... Okay. Alright. Sorry, one of the brain weasels got stuck in the tube. So what has happened here is I actually got the first, like, the correct door on the first try. I do this to myself a lot because, like every millennial, there are just dark holes in my brain where there isn't anything, and stuff falls in and gets lost. And having played this game a bunch of times, you would think that I would better remember, like a speedrunner, like, ah, this is the optimal path. This is exactly where you go every time. This is where this trigger is. It's a frame-perfect trick. No. No, because there's enough of the game, and I have played it enough times that it gets confused in my head where there's like, there is 3 or 4 different ways to get to his tomb. I was thinking that this went up to the temple. It does not. It goes to the damn burial chamber. We were on the correct side of the door. That is... So... You're welcome. You're so welcome. This down here is the door that goes back to the Panarii temple. Okay, well, anyway. We're here now, it's solved. This massive stone sarcophagus is covered in runes and carvings. It looks to be centuries old. Skull from the tomb of Nazareth. Not just any skull, but a very specific skull. There's a skeleton within the sarcophagus dressed in ragged robes. It is missing its right finger. Now remember, who else was missing a finger? Whose finger do they have upstairs? Right? Also, that texture is doing something fun, but... So, yeah. Remember I told you that there was more to Saint Mannix than meets the eye? Finger of Death. Oh, God. Lol. Now we have to go all the way back again, for which I apologize, but at least it's a short jaunt. Relatively short. We only have to fight the battles once. If there were random encounters in dungeons in this game, it would be way worse. But thankfully, once you have killed everything in a dungeon, it generally stays dead. Alright, so we're getting ready to come up on a big plot point, so I'm going to go ahead and say here that we're going to finish up right after this. And I just want to throw out a reminder for everyone currently in chat that our first annual Pride Month charity fundraiser is tomorrow, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be raising money for the Queerty Gamers Foundation. So we've got some great incentives lined up. We're going to be doing, Specific Pixel and I will be doing a long play of Great Greed for the Game Boy from 1993. You will see why when we get to the end of it. If you know why, no spoilers. And we hope that you enjoy it. We hope that you find the incentives fun. And remember, if you can't donate, there's no pressure. Just watching the stream, sharing the link with other people, letting people know that it's happening, being in chat, all of that helps. You can also pledge to our Patreon. And if you like and subscribe on YouTube, or if you follow and subscribe here on Twitch, then that also is a big help. So, but we'll take any support we can get. We are spoiled for a wonderful community here. Okay. Hadrian.
I've returned from the crypt. You found it. And what did you see there? I brought back this skull for you to look at.
His manner toward you is detached, but he can't help revealing an obvious excitement over the skull.
I suppose I'll take a look. Let's see here. What's this? What's wrong, Hadrian? The skull. You say this is the very skull from the sarcophagus in the burial chamber. Are you sure?
Yes. I'm positive. I am a medical doctor. I took it out with my own 2 hands, whatever is the matter.
This skull is not elven. It's a human skull. This is impossible.
There were some other strange things about what I saw.
What did you see?
Something was drawn in blood on the inside of the sarcophagus.
What was it? You said it was drawn in blood? I don't know what that symbolizes, nor why it would be there.
The word... I didn't hover over that. You have to click on the sarcophagus lid to look at it.
The word sounds like ancient Panarum, an ancient language used by early church elders. It hasn't been used for centuries, but Gunter Wilhelm is an expert and would know what it means. It was drawn there by... Oh, God. They buried him alive.
I noticed that the skeleton was also missing its right finger.
His right finger?
His face goes pale.
You know what that means? Oh, no. It couldn't be.
What, Hadrian? What are you talking about?
One of the objects I have here is the finger of Mannix. There's a legend associated with it. It was never known if the finger was actually that of the great saint. It seemed that it might very well be.
What does the legend say?
Legend tells of a time when Saint Mannix had been captured by barbarians. They were plundering the surrounding countryside, holding him. He told his people to refuse. I mentioned this earlier. He cut it off himself.
So are you saying that the body in the sarcophagus is Mannix?
I don't know. Good God.
Hadrian looks dully out the window, obviously in shock. I don't know what window. I'd be shocked if he found a window to look out of, too.
Why? Why would they have buried him in the tomb of Nasruddin? I just...
Hadrian, what are we going to do?
I have no idea. This discovery, I'm speechless.
2
1,000 years. And no one ever even bothered to check. What fools have we been? Listen, my friend. I recommend you go and speak with Gunther about this. Find out what the message says. I can be of no further use. I'll get to the bottom of this, Hadrian. I promise. Perhaps this was a stone better left unturned, my friend. It's not every day that one is faced with the negation of his belief. I'm so very sorry, Hadrian. I take my leave.
I think they mean the rightmost finger on the hand or whatever. Maybe. But yeah, it is a little bit of an awkward description because you're just like, so, like, which one?
Hello, Gunther. Have you a moment?
What is it you'd like to know?
I've discovered something about the remains of Nasrudin.
Ah, welcome back. I take it you've spoken with Hadrian. Have you found what it is you were looking for?
I found something, but I don't know what it means.
Interesting. It seems that the proverbial wool has been pulled over our eyes. But for what reason? I suppose it could be that the early church elders believed that an ascension story might strengthen people's beliefs, but at the cost of another man's life? I find that very difficult to believe. But I have found something that I believe may confirm that those remains are false.
What, Gunther? What did you find?
Remember I told you I was working on those older translations? I found another passage from it that is inconsistent with the Arcanum we read today. Have you heard the passage where it talks about the final resting place of Nasrudin?
Yes. Alexander told me.
Well, today's Arcanum reads, Nasrudin traveled to the southernmost tip of the land and there laid himself to rest. The copy I've been translating says almost the same exact thing, except for one slight difference. It reads, Nasrudin crossed the waters and traveled to the southernmost tip of the land. Do you know what that means?
What are you saying, Gunther?
I'm saying I don't think Nasrudin was buried here in Caledon. We've always just assumed that the scriptures were speaking of the mainland. And of course, when the remains were found, no one ever bothered to look again.
So where are his remains?
The southernmost tip of any land in Arcanum is the Isle of Thanatos, to the south of here. I think that is where you next should go. I might ask you a favor. If you have the time before you leave, perhaps you could uncover the truth behind St. Manox. There are men here who would be interested in finding the responsible party.
I may do that, but why do you think they did all of this?
I don't know, my friend. Perhaps there is something about the actual remains of Nasrudin which they are afraid of. You should seek out his final resting place, and there I think you will find your answers. Did you discover anything else?
Yes, a message written in blood.
I can tell you this. The two words in the message you saw. The first means opposite, and the second means truth. As to the broken ring, I have no idea. Okay. Yeah-da-da-da-da. Okay, so we gave away the skull. Okay, and we still have not found Nasrudin. Aw. Hadrian looks up at you with haunted eyes but says nothing before lowering his head once again. I need to make sure because the glass key. I want to make sure before we leave here that we can access it. I think... Right, because we definitely want to finish that quest. So let me see here. Just double checking here. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. We're almost there. I'm going to tell Alexander about what we found. In the name of Nazardan, I welcome you, my friend. How can I help you today?
Hello, Alexander. I told you I'd been uncovering some strange things. Gunther found another discrepancy in the Arcanum.
Seems like we've all been deceived, my friend. Seems your path no longer lies with us. But if you have time, perhaps you could look into the message that was written on the inside of the crypt. Return to me if you find what it means. Otherwise, good luck to you. I hope you find the final resting place of Nazardan.
It's so... he just takes it so calmly for being like the holiest among them and like basically a living saint. He's like, well, that just deconstructs our entire religion. Wild, I guess.
I retrieved the skull. It's human and not elven.
Ah, his face goes hard as stone. This is grave news. Obviously the remains are a fake. If you find out more about what all this means, return to me.
And we tell him some more. His fists clench when you tell him of Mannix. You can see he's just barely controlling his rage.
I see. If you find out what all of this means, return to me. If indeed the blood of Mannix was spilled for some darker plot, you can be assured that there will be retribution. I swear it by my life.
Right, we told him this. Okay. Yes, the chillest Pope ever. That would also be funny. Right. Okay. Okay, so... we've learned about all we can from the Panarii Temple here. So... here we go. This is a good place, I think, to bring this stream to an end. We have uncovered a mystery. Yet again, things are not as they seem. There is a great conspiracy afoot. A conspiracy centuries, perhaps even millennia, in the making. What does it mean? Well, as the living one, the good doctor here, shall have to find out. After all, who else is going to save the world? Because even if we're not the living one, it's like Alexander said, if we play the role, then what is the difference? So, when we come back next Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is New York and Miami time here in the U.S., for more Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura, we will be solving some of that mystery and moving the main plot along. There is not much left. Maybe even just a couple episodes. It depends on how things go, how quickly I get through it. If I get hung up and forget something like I did tonight, we'll see. But otherwise, we're almost done with Arcanum. So, thank you so much for the resub, Lordly. Much appreciated. A whole year. Some people they resub and I'm like, wow, have I been doing it that long? It doesn't feel like it. but I really do appreciate y'all, whether you have been here for the whole time for like 5 years or for a year or a day, or if you just got here tonight, it does not matter. I hope that you had fun, and I am grateful for the privilege of your time. Thank you for playing some Arcanum with me. Again, don't forget that tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time is our Pride Month charity fundraiser. So be there. Hopefully we will see you. Thursday, we will have more of our continuing Pokemon Crystal Challenge run, where I'm only allowed to use Pokemon that have a single form and that do not have any evolutions. And then Monday, I forgot about Monday the 3rd. I will have more Wasteland 2 for you, and then the following Monday, June the 10th, Specific Pixel will be back for what may be the final episode of Baroque. If all goes well, I think it might be the last one, but at worst there's 2. So that one's about to wind down as well, and then we will have new series for you, because of course when we finish Arcanum, next up is Icewind Dale 2, the fan community-made Enhanced Edition, which I'm very excited to play because it's been a while since I did Icewind Dale 2. I've never done it on the channel, but we did do the first one. Can't wait to see who our new characters are going to be, starting with Rousdower and Darkstone, our last remaining charity incentive names from last year's Video Game History Foundation fundraiser. And then once Baroque comes to an end, it's time for another multiplayer game, so Specific Pixel and I will be playing Mystic Heroes for you. Look forward to that. And then Pokemon Crystal, of course, is coming to a close too, I think. There's not a whole lot of meat left on that bone, and then it's going to be Legend of Kyrandia 2, which I'm definitely looking forward to. So I hope that y'all are as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow and pledge to our Patreon and pet your dog and hydrate and stretch and take your medicine and get a good night's sleep and leave the world a little better than you found it. All that jolly stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, as always, thanks for playing.